Good evening, everyone. Bezat Hashem will dedicate the class today Leilui Nishmat Polina Bat Yosef, and also for the success lehavdil of Shlomi Shlomo and his family, and the success of Olam Israel Bichlalam, the Moshe Bai family, also sponsoring this class. Today we're going to speak about tehilim. This class is a very serious class. Be'emet, I thought, some people asked me actually, and then I thought to make shiur on every chapter of tehilim. But that's going to take forever. We have 150 chapters in tehilim. But then I said, maybe we'll do, Bezrat Hashem, a shiur today on tehilim. We're not going to cover everything about tehilim. We're going to speak today about the power of tehilim, the mystical power of tehilim according to the Zohar and the Kabbala. How can we practically use tehilim for different things in life? And at the end of the class, Bli Neder, I'm going to speak about certain chapters. We're going to start from the beginning. So chapter Aleph, Bet, Gimel, the first Psalm of Tehilim, the second one, and maybe the third one today. And then the other shiurim that we're going to have, B'ezrat Hashem, in the future, Bli Neder will try at the end of every shiur, end of every class, to continue to speak about the zgulot, the powers of every chapter of Tehilim until we finish everything. So that's how we're also going to speak about all the chapters of Tehilim, and also we're going to speak about other topics as well, not just Tehilim all the time. So B'ezrat Hashem, the book of Tehilim, in English it's called the Psalms of David, right? And I think that's one of the most popular books in history. Best sells after the Torah, after the Bible. Best sells every year in every place in the world, right? The Psalms of David, Tehilim, is something that almost you have in every place, not just Jews. Jewish people, we read Tehilim, also non-Jews read Tehilim, and they feel very connected to it. Recently I spoke with someone that is not Jewish, and he told me, yeah, I read the Psalms of David, I read Tehilim, and I was surprised because Baruch Hashem, they also feel very connected, and Be'emet, David HaMelech said that this book is, every person that will read it will connect to it. Every chapter in Tehilim, Rabbi Nachman Breslev says, every chapter in Tehilim has your story also. You can find your story, your own story, your life, with your kids and your wife and whatever happening in your life and your problems, you can find and you need to find in any chapter of Tehilim. So before we speak about the power of Tehilim, we'll do some introduction of how Tehilim came. And David HaMelech, King David, he wrote Tehilim. We need to know how, from what mood in his life he wrote this book, and how this book became so popular and so strong and has so much power, like we're going to speak today. So David HaMelech, he lived around 2,800 years ago. His life was not very long, 70 years exactly. He was born on Shavuot, that fell on Shabbat, and he passed away after 70 years on Shavuot, that fell on Shabbat. And you know, the righteous people, that the Torah says that that's one of the signs you can know if a person was righteous, that he passed away at the same day that he was born. It's one of the signs you can know. If this happens, you should know this person is a special person. That, for example, Moshe Rabbeinu, he was born on the 7th of Adar, and he passed away in 7th of Adar. David HaMelech was born on Shavuot, that fell on Shabbat, the 6th of Sivan, and he passed away the same date. So that's one, or sometimes even one day before or one day after also counts. You realize a lot of tzaddikim, a lot of righteous people, that's what happened. They died in the same month, or in the same day, or one day before, one day after. So it's very interesting. David HaMelech was like that. So from here already you see who is King David. We call him Melech HaMashiach. The Mashiach is going to come from him, his descendants, right? So David HaMelech, he wrote tehilim. He started this book when he was pretty young. He took him 13 years to write this book. And you know what, 13 years, it's a lot of time, but 13 years not because he was, you know, like every person that wants to write a book, he decides, okay, I'm going to write a book, and he starts to work on the book. David HaMelech, he didn't want to work on a book. He was writing songs about his life, about what his challenges, his problems. So you can see all the Psalms of David, they start with the atmosphere, with what happened. For example, Mismo David beborcho mipnei Shalom. Yeah, this is a Psalm of David when he ran away from his son Shalom. His son wanted to kill him. So this chapter he wrote on the way when he was running away from his own son. And you see different chapters. Beborcho mipnei Shaul. Shaul was his father-in-law. He also wanted to kill him. So he was running away from him, and he wrote few Mizmorim. He wrote few psalms at that time. So David HaMelech, if we look at his life, I think there was no person that had such a hard life like David. And not just physically, more mentally. And that's why he's very connected to our generation, because I think in our generation the best issues are mental issues, not physical issues. Today, Baruch Hashem, also physical problems and illness are also here, unfortunately. But the source of every physical sickness or illness is spiritual, is mental. Yeah, but this is a different topic, B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to speak about. How is that related? 90% of our sicknesses in the world, it's a result of a mental problem. Fear or anger or different stress and anxiety and stuff like that, they cause most of the physical problems. But for that, we need to make a whole session to understand what problem cause what. And B'ezrat Hashem, maybe I'm thinking about talking about that and making a whole series about that topic, B'ezrat Hashem, in the future. But mental issues, that's the problem. Yeah, stress and worries and stuff like that, problems in life. That's what David HaMelech had all his life. Mamash all his life. From the second he was born, his father and mother didn't want him. He was kind of, okay, we let you stay in our house, not because we want you, because we don't want people to think that something is wrong in our family. And they didn't want him because they thought he's a mamzer. I'm not gonna go into all the details what happened there. It's a very, very interesting story, but there was a problem that his father thought that David is not his son, but he was not true. And there was a whole story because of that. So they decided that David is gonna be like the black sheep. He was the black sheep. And all his brothers, his bigger brothers, they were very successful people and they hate him. They didn't like him. They didn't respect him. And he writes it in tehilim. You can see how, our life, the most important time in our life is the childhood. What we are now today is what we had when we were kids. Today the psychologists, they understand that. They build a whole theory on this. Right? That any mental issue that you have, it's because of problems. Most of the time, it's because of problems in your childhood. People didn't get enough love. Yeah, their parents were not treating them well, and then he doesn't have self-confidence right now because nobody told him that he is good. Nobody told him that he is loved. Nobody gave him motivation to life. Yeah, they always were screaming at him and telling him different things, and then he lost confidence. So today, we see that this is happening, and David HaMelech, that's the example, the classic example of someone that had a very, very bad childhood, from all aspects. Yeah, he was into danger traumas in his life so much. It says in the books of Nevi'im, of prophets, that David HaMelech was fighting a bear. Imagine a bear comes and fight you. This is you need a psychologist for the rest of your life for such a. And then he was fighting a lion, and he killed the lion. They didn't have guns. A lion attacked him. You go for a walk in the safari, you see a lion, you already need you need rest. It's too scary. Today the lions they take drugs, that's why. But I was in the real safari, by the way. I was in South Africa. Long time ago, I did lectures there. So after one lecture, so I said, okay, I'm not coming here only to give lectures. I want to enjoy a little bit, So the guy took me to the safari, that's how you say safari? No, zoo, to the zoo. Yeah. Safari, right? Huh? In Hebrew, it's safari. Okay. So I went there, but he told me, listen, here is South Africa. The lions are lions. It's not like in Israel. You have one or two lions sitting like that, boring. Just look at them. Here also in Toronto Zoo, the lion is boring. He's always sitting like. There you see lions. Mamash. They took a piece of lamb, they throw it to the air, and you see them fighting. That was, there you see a lion, you hear his voice. And you go with the car, and he was jumping on our car. So then I felt a little bit, I was in the car. Imagine when he comes in front of you, no cars, no guns, no nothing. David HaMelech faced this trauma when he was a child. And then he grows, and then he goes, there was a war between the Plishtim, Palestinians, and Israel. Yeah, it was already from back then. and there was a war, and then they said, you know what? Let's stop fighting. We're always fighting and nothing happens. Let's make a different strategy. You give us your hero, a representative that you think is the strongest, and we're gonna take one, and then they're gonna find the one that's gonna win. That's it. You're gonna get the land. So that's what they did, and then this is Goliath. We all know the story, right? So Goliath, which was a family of David, basically. He was his family, even though he's a non-Jew. But David HaMelech great grandmother, Ruth, from Moab. Ruth has his great grandmother. Ruth got married to Boaz. She did a conversion. She converted to Judaism, and Boaz got married to her. And they had a child, Oved, and Oved had a child, Ishai, and Ishai was the father of David. David ben Ishai. So David, his great-grandmother was Ruth, the Megillat Ruth that we read on Shavuot. Why we read Megillat Ruth on Shavuot? That's, by the way, that's the reason. Because Shavuot, that's the day that David passed away and was born. And that's why Ruth, his family, we read that. That's the connection. That's one of the connections. So Ruth, she was a non-Jew. Ruth had her sister. Her sister, Orpah. Orpah, she didn't convert, and she had 4 children. I'm not going to get into all the story, how she got those children. They were very strong. Yep. One of them is Goliath. Goliath, he was the representative of Plishtim. And then David, he was even not in the war. He was at home with his father. They even didn't send him to the war because he's like the not successful child. So then his father sent David to go see what's happening with his brothers in the front. Maybe give them some food, see what's happening. Do they need something? So David came. And then he saw that Goliath is swearing and saying bad things about our nation. And he's waiting already a few days for someone to fight him. And the Israelis, they didn't have someone. They were all afraid. And Shaul said, you know what, the one that's going to win Goliath is going to get my daughter. He's going to convince his daughter to get married to him. So David HaMelech said, Okay, I'll try. Not because he wanted he wanted his daughter, because he was so angry at Goliath saying those words about Hashem and about the nation. He said, I have to kill this guy. Now you have to understand, David HaMelech was born on Mazal Ma'adim. Mazal Ma'adim is the luck of Ma'adim. There's 7 stars. Did we do an astrology class? No. Mazalot, we didn't do here? Okay, maybe, Bezat Hashem. So there's 7 stars in our planet, right? Mars and Jupiter and all those. So in Hebrew, I don't know all the English names, but one of them is Ma'adim. Yeah? Ma'adim is if you were born at the day, or actually at the hour, that this star was dominant, yeah, according to astrology, every star has certain power, certain energy that brings. So it depends on what hour or what month or what week you were born. According to the astrology, you can see what star was dominant at that time, and you can know things about yourself. So people that were born at the hour that Ma'adim was in charge, so those people are going to be very aggressive. They like blood. You see, there's people that they see blood, they have no problem with this. You know, usually people that go to study to be a surgeon or mohel, right? The one that do circumcision, or shochet, a slaughter, you know? Yeah, for example, I don't have problem to see blood, yeah? That's why I went to learn how to slaughter also. Why? Because I don't have a problem. Maybe I have Mazal Madim, I don't know, but I don't have this problem. There's some people, they go to take this
Needle.
the blood test. They just see a little bit of a drop of blood, they faint. I know people like that. Yeah, one of the members of my family like this. It takes a little bit. So, Igma. Yeah. Mamash for a few days. Not few days. Few minutes. Yeah. So, Be'emet, this is. It depends on your luck. Now, so David HaMelech, he was born on that star. David HaMelech, he was born on that star of Ma'adim, so he was very like in his that's why he could fight the lion, right? The bear and the lion. He was very into not afraid of fighting. And he also was gingy. You know what's gingy?
Yeah.
Gingy is a redhead.
Ginger.
Redhead, usually it's people that has this energy of aggressive. Yeah? Again, it's not something negative, by the way. It's not something. David HaMelech was like that. It's not something negative. It means there's powerful people. Very powerful. So he was twice red. Ma'adim, which is Mars, I think. Yeah? Yeah, Mars, okay. Now it came to my mind. Ma'adim, if you were born on Mars, when Mars was dominant, so then you have this aggressive and powerful. And if you are gingy, if you are a redhead, it's even more. So that was David. And he saw Goliath and says, that's it, I'm going to kill this guy. He can't speak about Hashem like this. So he went there, but he didn't have nothing. You know, he was like, I think he was 17, if I'm not mistaken, or 22 or 17. He was a young boy. And he took his, how you call it? Sling, yeah, sling, with five stones, and he just killed the guy. Yeah, I'm not gonna say the whole story. We speak about tehilim, not just about David. But he killed him, and then what happened? Everybody like, wow, David, and you are great, and so on. And then he got married to Shaul's, the king's daughter, Michal. She was a big tzadikah. But then, Shaul somehow got jealous in David, in his son-in-law. And the Torah says that Shaul, he was a righteous person, was a big tzaddik. But there was a spirit came into him. Ruach shtut, ruach ra'ah, a bad spirit. And when this bad spirit was coming into him, he couldn't control himself. He was doing bad things. He tried to kill his son-in-law, David. Now, David, he was working for him even from before. David knew how to play music. He was very good in it. And every time when Shaul had the spirit, he needed someone to relax him. So they called David to play music for him. And he tried to kill him a few times. His son-in-law, while he's playing music for him. Insane. So imagine another trauma. Your father-in-law trying to kill you. He actually he threw like a sword on him, Mamash trying to kill him. And then he was telling the army to go after him. And for almost a year, he was running from one city to another city. From his father, which was the king. You go against the king. It's something, imagine a life like that. And then he took Bathsheba. Bathsheba was his wife, but the way he took her was not 100%. Not that it was not kosher. It was kosher. Yeah. It was no. You know what the Gemara says? The Gemara. I think we're gonna have a very long shiur today. I even didn't start the lecture, but the Gemara says, "Kol Omer David chata eno elato." If you say that David made a sin, you have a mistake. David didn't do a sin. This lady, she was divorced. She had a get. How? It's a whole story now to get into. If you want to know, it's written in the Gemara, in the Talmud, Masechet Sanhedrin, page 107. You get the answer there. So, David HaMelech, he was not making a sin. His sin was that it was look like a sin. For the people that doesn't understand what's really happened there, it looked like, wow, how can you do such a thing? That was his sin. And that's what he did tshuva for. He was regret, and he was doing different things to clean this one that other people thought. But he himself, he did everything right. He just did it a little bit before the time. It's a whole thing. So then, because of that, people made fun of him. Even when he was a king, he was coming to Bet HaMidrash, to the synagogue to study. People will make fun of him, telling him in his face, "You cheat." They come. You know, when there's people that they wanna put you down, but they do it like very, very nice. Yeah. So they come to him and says, "Rabbi, we have a question." Oh yeah, what's your question? He says, "What happens if someone cheat?" Yeah, if someone takes a wife that is not his, what happens? And they look at him like it's you, like. So then and they said it in front of everyone, and then he says, "Kol haba l'shetish." Chas v'shalom, if a person goes with a married woman, chayav mita, has to die. וכל המלבין פני חברו ברבים אין לו חלק לעולם הבא. But someone that embarrasses his friend in front of others, he even doesn't have a place in the world to come. So he was answering them, but he was answering them back. They come and they ask him, "Hey, what's happened if Chaz v'Shalom someone goes with the women that is married?" So he understood that they want to embarrass him. So he says, "Yes. It's not right." But someone that embarrasses other people in public, it's even worse. Now, this is just another example how the life of David was complicated and were so, we can say, bad. This is not the end. Then he gets married. He has a son, Amnon, and from another wife he has a daughter, Tamar. And his son rapes his daughter. And he's the king of Israel. He's the rabbi. Imagine today in the rabbi's house, that's what's happening. You know what? It's such an embarrassment. This is not an easy life. And then is another son, Avshalom, grows and decides that he wants to be the king. And he takes other people and he goes against his father, kick him out of the house, kick him out of the kingdom, and run away to kill him. So this is, we think we have problems. Look at and this is just a little bit, look at the life of David. And this David HaMelech was writing tehilim all this time. 13, the hardest years in his life, 13 years, he was writing the tehilim. They say that every night he was waking up in the midnight. He was not sleeping at all. David HaMelech, he almost didn't sleep every day. The Gemara Masechet Brachot says that he was going to sleep for half an hour, not more than half an hour. He was sleeping like a horse. That's what the Gemara says. Mitnamnem kesus. You know how a horse sleeps? Yeah, go to the zoo again. Look there. He goes like that. After a few minutes, after 10 minutes, okay, what's happening? Again a little bit, and then it wakes up again. That's how the horse sleeps. That's how David HaMelech slept until midnight. At midnight, he had a kinor. Kinor, it's, help me. Violin. Yafeh מאוד. He had a violin in the north of his room. Why in the north? Because he knew all the rules of the world. That at midnight, exactly, there's a wind that's coming to the north. So that wind comes in and play the violin, and he had an alarm clock. That's the first alarm clock. Huh? מה זה harp?
It stands, what you're talking about?
What, the violin?
Is a little bit.
No, it's a harp.
No, violin, kino.
Harp.
I think so. That's what it says, kino.
It's called a harp.
Okay, so maybe that thing. I don't know.
Because the violin, someone needs to hold it. The harp, it can be violin.
Yeah, but you can put it on the wall.
No, but if wind comes to a harp, it will make music.
Oh yeah, so this one. Harp?
Harp. Yeah, harp.
Okay.
Harp.
So this one. So that's how he woke up. That was his alarm clock. He didn't need an iPhone, Baruch Hashem. So David HaMelech, he was waking up at midnight exactly, and from then till the morning he didn't sleep. He was crying to Hashem, was going outside talking to God, learning Torah, and the main thing, writing tehilim. He was writing tehilim, and it says that every day his pillow was like a sponge full of tears. They changed his pillows every day because he was real. He was a very emotional person. And they say like this, because David HaMelech, he went through all problems that a man can go through and a woman can go through in life. And he could have win and hold himself to not get into depression and lose his hope. So he is the only one that can really write such a book. And he asked Hashem that every person in the world, in the history, after him, in the future, that would have any problem, he can go into his book, and because of reading the book, he will get an answer and he will get a help. That's what David HaMelech was asking Hashem. Because I went through all of that, and I knew how to fight, and to not lose my hope. So please, any person that has problems, that's the place he will go to. And it says more than that in Kabbala books. It says in the Zohar Kadosh that when you read tehilim, a spark of the soul of David is connecting with you. You get a small spark of his soul because you read his book. You connect to him, and his power to go through all those challenges now connected with you, so you're going to have the power to go through all those challenges. That's why reading tehilim has a tremendous power for anything. Doesn't matter what. Not just, usually we know people that they read tehilim because someone is sick. So they sit and they read tehilim for him. That's great. That's I'll tell you the truth, that's better than doctors. Today, I saw in one book that the past generation, the ladies in the past generation, they had such a faith and real understanding of life. There was one lady in her house, there was a sick person. Someone was very sick. So everybody was, screaming, we need a doctor, we needed this. Call a doctor. And then they brought a doctor. And then this old lady said, the grandmother, she said, I don't understand why you're screaming for a doctor. Scream for tehilim before the doctor. Tehilim heals more than doctor heal. That's the real understanding of life. But today we don't believe in it. When you have a problem, what's the first thing you do? You try to solve it in a practical way, according to the nature, teva, derech hateva. That's what we usually do. But the Torah says no. We should first of all understand that tehilim helps more. Spiritual healing is a lot more powerful than physical healing. We just have to make the switch in our mind. And by the way, the more you believe in it, the more it works. The power of belief is so powerful. We even don't understand. All what we do in life is our beliefs. You know why people suffer? Because they have wrong beliefs. When you set your mind that you believe in certain things that are not good, for example, why people stay in depression, why they can't go out of depression? Because they set their mind and say, I can't. They believe that they can't. When you got into this loop, you're gone. Why? Because that's it, that's your belief. Belief, it's everything. But if you believe that you can, people that have cancer, Shalom, lo alenu, they can heal themselves. I'm serious. It's also today the slowly the science get into this understanding. The body knows how to heal itself. We see it every day. If you have a scratch, you go to the doctor.
No.
You don't need a doctor for a scratch, right? Why? There's a lot of bacteria that can get in. Why are you not afraid? You know why? Because there's vitamin K. Vitamin K, we have it in our body. It comes in and heal. Automatically. Everything is automatic. The body knows how to heal itself. It's beautiful. So everything is inside. Everything is inside. It's all your beliefs, what you believe. If you believe you can get out of it, so your brain gives commandments to the body to heal. It will heal. But when a doctor comes to you and tells you, no, unfortunately you're going to die in 2 months. That's what they say today. We have to fire all those doctors, one after the other.
I agree.
Doctors that say something like that, I'm saying it because it's very painful for me. I see in my community a lot of people that are sick, and that's what people tell them. We have to fire. The Rambam says that. How can you know if a doctor is a good doctor? There's only one way to know. Look at the face of the patient when he comes out of his door. If he has a happy face, he can still be a doctor. If he doesn't have a happy face, you have to fire that doctor at the same time. That's what the Rambam, the biggest doctor, said. Why? If you don't give hope to the person, if you don't set his mind that he can go out of it, you're not a doctor. You killed him. That's why the Gemara says, "Atov shebarofim lagehenom." The best doctor should go to hell. That's what the Gemara says. Why? Because those best doctors, they kill people. Study Rambam before you go to be a doctor. The Rambam will tell you what's a doctor. Same thing in our family. Sometimes we also doctors in our family, our kids. It's our patients. How you set the mind of your kid, you have to tell him all the time you can do everything. You have power. The more you believe in something, it's more powerful. If you read tehilim and you know what we're going to say right now, that the power of tehilim has more power than anything you know to help you in your problem, that will help you for sure to solve the problem. So what's tehilim, Rabotai? Tehilim called mizmorim. Yeah, we say mizmor. What's mizmor? Mizmor, it's a song. But really there's another interpretation or explanation to the word Mismo in Hebrew. In Hebrew, Mismo is from the word lezamer. Lezamer, it's also to sing, but lezamer is also to cut. For example, when a person goes, he has a field with wheat and he wants to cut the wheat, we call it lezamer. So the explanation of Mismo is to cut. To cut what? To cut the bad things. What tehilim do, says the Ben Ish Chai, tehilim cuts all the negative energy and the negative forces that wants to do things against you. Any sin a person does, any wrong decision you do, or even sometimes other people influence you, affect you, with evil eye and stuff like that, brings judgments on you. Bad energies, bad feelings. How can we protect us from those bad tum'ah? It's called impurity. From this tum'ah, from those judgments, from those dinim, from those negative forces. One of the great tools is tehilim. Cutting it. Tehilim, that's the best tool you can use to just pure your energy from all those negativity. People looking for, things against evil eye. They put different, garlic on them and those red strings, and they want to avoid ayn hara, evil eye. Before you do all those things, tehilim has more power than everything. A person that reads tehilim every day, this is the best protection from evil eye. Read it in the morning. Every day. We're going to see how much and which chapters B'ezrat Hashem after. But any place in tehilim, you can just choose and read tehilim. That's the biggest protection. So that's first thing that tehilim does. Cut all the negative energies. The more tehilim, the better. Second thing, as we said, tehilim has a specialty. Any Torah thing that we learn, Torah has a big effect on us. A person that learns Torah, he brings a lot of purity and holiness to his life. But Torah has a condition. When you learn Torah, you have to understand what you learn. If you open a book and you just read it and you don't understand what you do, it doesn't really work. Of course, it's better than reading a newspaper. For sure it's better. Even though you don't understand, read it. There's something in the letters, there's something in the energy, but still it's not considered as you learned. Tehilim, even if you don't understand, it does it. It's work. It's cleanse your soul, take all the negativity out, and it counts like you learned Torah, even though you didn't learn. You didn't understand. I don't know what I'm saying. It counts like Torah. And more than that, we have prayers and we have Torah learning, right? Two main things in Judaism. Times to pray, times to learn. So when you learn, you can't pray. When you pray, you can't learn. But there's one way to do them both. Tehilim. When you read Tehilim, it says in the holy books of Kabbala, the Chida say, Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azulai, he says that when you read Tehilim, it's considered like you pray and you learn at the same time. Because Tehilim is learning and Tehilim is praying. Beautiful. And even without understanding it. That's like a magic book. That's Tehilim. More than that, the power of Tehilim, one of the main powers of Tehilim, is to push problems. Tehilim is not canceling problems. Tehilim is pushing. What's that mean? I'll give you a story that's written in Sefer Hasidim, 900 years ago. Rabbi Yehuda Hasid wrote a very important book, and he brings a real story that happened in his time with one village. I think it was in Spain. That there's a lot of Jews in this village. There was a rabbi, there was a community, and there was one simple person that this guy passed away. And 30 days after he passed away, he comes to the rabbi in the dream. And he tells the Rabbi, please go tomorrow to the synagogue and announce that bad people, robbers or whatever, they're gonna come into the city in a few days and they're gonna kill everybody. It's a big danger. I'm telling it to you now. So tell all the Jews to run away. Now, imagine such an, new, you get in the dream. What do you do with this? Pay attention to the dream, to not pay attention to the dream. To leave your house. Imagine you, Chas v'Shalom, you have a dream like that right now. Someone comes to you in a dream and tells you, listen, leave Canada. But something bad's gonna happen to you, Chas v'Shalom. Yeah. So, and then he asks him in the dream, he tells him, but why? Like, why it's happening? We are okay. So he says, it was already needed to happen long time ago because of certain sins that you do, the community. But it didn't happen because I was alive and I have a custom every day finishing the whole tehilim. Today, Baruch Hashem, there's few people that do that. One of them is a Rabbanit Cook. You know Rabbanit Cook? Mm-hmm. She knows all tehilim by heart. She lives in Tveria. It's a very special lady. And she has like 17 kids. And she gets people, she gives them blessings and people come to get an advice. And from person to person, she says another chapter of tehilim. And she finished every day a book of tehilim. It's a very special lady. It was one time there was a family, I heard it from first source. They didn't have children. So they came to the Rabbanit to ask for we want a child. They, like, for 12 or 15 years, they don't have children. So the Rabbanit says, you know what? Take my son and raise him for a while. And you will have children. That's what she told him. And they took her son, they raised him for a while, and they had children. Now, I don't know how does that work and how you do such a thing, but it's, stories about her, this is like very special. By the way, I don't know if it's her son or not, but this is one of the things that actually work, because when you have a child in your house, I know people that didn't have children, they adopt one, and then they had a child, and then they had a child. That's one of the tricks that yeah. Okay, so he said to him, because I finish tehilim every day, it's pushed the gzera, the bad, the bad thing that needed to happen. It's pushed it another year, but when he passed away, he was the only one in the city that read tehilim. Look how one person can save a whole city because of finishing tehilim. That's what Rabbi Yehuda Chassid says. That's the power of tehilim. And by the way, finishing the whole book of tehilim, for those who is possible, that's a very special thing. And if you do it when you're standing, it's even more powerful. It says in the holy books that when a person has a problem or something that he wants or he needs, of course, if it's a good thing and Hashem, and they agree with him in Shamayim that this should happen, but there's problems and it doesn't happen, you can accept on yourself to read the whole book of Tehillim one day without saying nothing. Yeah, I did it, Baruch Hashem. For me, it takes 2 hours. But for people that are not used to read Tehillim, it's going to take a little bit more. But if you do that, that can really, really happen. And I remember my mother-in-law told me this. I had a certain problem in my life. I'm not sure which one was it. I think it was when I went to Israel. So I didn't serve in the army in Israel. So somehow they decided that I was too much, because I left Israel when I was I was not in army yet. So then they told me that it's a problem, I kind of ran away and stuff like that, and then they took me to jail the next time I came. To the army jail. You remember, yeah. So actually, according to the law, I needed to be in the jail for 8 months. And I was married, I had 2 kids. That was a big, that was a not comfortable thing. And Baruch Hashem, everything is for good. I became the rabbi of the jail, and a lot of people came into Judaism after that. It was very nice. I was doing more classes than I do here. I did there. Every day 3 classes, morning and afternoon, and that was a time I really suffered there, because for me it was a shock. I was like, you have your family in Canada, and you're a rabbi of a community, and now you're in jail, and they scream at you, and they put you so much down. Like, army jail is worse than a regular jail.
Whoa.
It's worse. And I really felt like bad. So my mother-in-law told me, like, read the whole tehilim, because I thought maybe I'm gonna be there for 8 months. So she told me, read the whole tehilim in one day without stopping. Like, don't say nothing to anyone, just don't talk to me. And I did it, Baruch Hashem, and I had a miracle. I came out after 2 weeks. And mamash miracle. If I'm going to tell you the miracle, it's going to be a whole class about that miracle. It's something unbelievable. The whole jail forgot that I am... Huh? What? No, I'll tell you after that. Huh? No, it's not because I left as a child, because I came back. My wife is Israeli. I came back to Israel, and I stayed there more than 1 year. And then they say, oh, you stayed there here more than 1 year, after the age of 20, that's it. You're Israeli, you have to do army. Boom. I didn't know that law, by the way. I didn't know it. I thought everything is okay, and it was a surprise. But everything is from Hashem. I'm happy that I was there. And so you see, that's my personal story. You see how powerful is reading tehilim, all tehilim in one time. Now, there's something even more powerful. Yeah, hold your chairs now. By the way, before that, there is a sgula. It's a very powerful thing to finish the book of tehilim twice a week, one on Shabbat and one on a regular day. And this is a very good thing for kappara. Kappara is to clean all our sins. Because, most of our problems in life is because we have a lot of stains, let's call it like that, yeah, in our soul. We want to clean, so one of the ways to do it is reading tehilim. But why twice? Why on Shabbat and on a regular day? Because tehilim has 150 chapters, 150 psalms, right? And 150, if you do it twice, so it's going to be 300, is the gematria, the numerical value of the word kaper. Kaper is forgiveness. So when you read that twice, so you have the forgiveness, you have the kaper, so that can forgive and clean most of the stains we have. There's another thing that is super duper, and this is finishing tehilim, reading tehilim, the whole book of tehilim 3 times in 1 day, which is very challenging. This is Rabbi Elimelech from Lizansk, one of the big Hasidim, the students of the Baal Shem Tov. He says that if you if you say Tehillim, the whole book of Tehillim 3 times, one after the other without stopping, for 1 day, this is considered like you fast a whole week. Yom Kippur we fast 1 day, and kapara and forgiveness and everything. The big tzaddikim, Baba Sali, which yesterday was his Hilula, the day that he passed away. Baba Sali, he was fasting from Shabbat to Shabbat, from only eating on Shabbat. He was not eating, not drinking for the whole week. Same thing Rav Kadur. In our generation, I'm not talking about Rabbi Nachman did it, big rabbis did it all the time. But in our generation, Baba Sali, that's what they used to do. They cleaned all their stains with this, And don't think to do that, yeah? This is dangerous. Rabbi Israel Yakobov, in Netivot, yeah. So he did that, but You don't have to do this. If you want to get very holy like Baba Sali, just read tehilim 3 times a day. The whole book of tehilim. It's considered, Rabbi Elimelech says, like fasting for a whole week. Now, what's a fasting for a whole week? That's first of all cleaning all your stains. Second of all, make you so spiritual. Yeah, you're gonna have powers. B'ezrat Hashem, you're gonna be very connected to Hashem. Yes.
Something like you can't use the bathroom, you can't drink all.
No, of course you can do that. You can do that. I'm talking about not be disturbed by people and stuff like that, right? You can take a nap from one sefer to another sefer, yeah? you can eat something. Okay. By the way, one book of tehilim, as we said, is 150, right, chapters, and this is the gematria of the word pidyon. Pidyon is something that you're going to see in Judaism a lot. Podeh is to change. Sometimes there's something written about someone, and we want to change the lack and to transfer it to someone else. Yeah? That's the concept of kaparot. When we take the chicken and we do kapara, it's pidyon, right? Or money. When you have a sin and you take money, and so you podeh the money, instead of that sin, it goes to kivyachol. I take the money, and this is something that I sacrifice, and it goes to that. So same thing, pidyon. The word pidyon, the numerical value of that is 150. So that's why Chachamim say, the rabbis say, if you read tehilim, it's like pidyon. If you have a sickness, chas v'shalom, or a problem, tehilim, the whole tehilim in one day, it's a pidyon. Can take it out. This is a big power of tehilim. Okay, let's say another small thing about tehilim, or you know what? Let's go into the actual chapters of tehilim. I think that's more of a practical thing. So every chapter of tehilim has specialties. Bemet, if a person wants to get connected to God, be more spiritual, be healthy, solve any mental, physical issues for him, for others, he can basically open any place in tehilim and read. As we said, in tehilim, everything is located there. You can find yourself, you can find your problem, you can connect to it even though you don't understand. But sometimes it's good to be more specific. There's certain things in tehilim that are good for certain stuff more than the rest of the things, right? So that's what I want to do. B'ezrat Hashem, bli neder, we're going to make it every lecture, at the end of the lecture, for a few minutes, we're going to speak about certain chapters and how can we use them actually for certain things in our life. Not just reading it. Tehilim, it's not just something that you read. Sometimes you can use tehilim as a kamiya, as something that you write. You write it, not you, but someone that knows how to write. Like mezuzah writing, right? And you can order it from someone and take it as a kamiya, put it in your house, or use it for certain things, you know? So let's see what our rabbis say that every chapter of Tehillim, what's some of the powers. I'm not going to go into all of them, there's a lot. Also, those things are not written in a certain book. Those things are collected from different books. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing it, because I'm working on a book like that to collect all those things about every chapter. A lot of people ask me to do that, and I also want to do it myself. So, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're gonna start with the first chapter, Aleph. Ashrei Aish Asher lo halach b'atzat reshaim. That's the first sentence. And first of all, we have to know that Tehillim, it's not just the meaning of the words. Tehillim has a lot of combinations of letters. Those combinations of letters, because Tehillim was said in Ruach HaKodesh, a Holy Spirit that came into King David, and it was not King David writing it. It's like God writing it. It's Hashem is giving him this information, and that's why in Tehillim there is the words of Tehillim. They are in a certain order that there is a lot of combinations of letters, of names of God that are affecting certain things in our life coming out of this. So just for example, there's 72 names to God. And once I think we spoke about that. that is not this parasha, the next parasha that we're going to read, Parashat Beshalach. There's three sentences, three psukim that they one after the other, and they have exactly 72 letters. Those three psukim. Yeah, it starts with the word Vaisa, Vayavo, Vayet. So 72 letters for three psukim. And the Zohar says if you take the first letter of the first sentence, and the last letter of the second sentence, and the first letter of the third sentence, you're going to have one of names of God. And then you take the second letter of the first sentence, and the one before the last letter of the second sentence, and then the second letter of the third sentence, and you have another name. And like that you have 72 names. And those names are in charge of different things in life. For example, Yud, Lamed, and Yud. That's one of those names. Yud, Lamed, and Yud. This is a name that brings healing. So people, for example, this is also Kabbalistic meditation. If you make a meditation on this name, yeah, and there's also a way to do it. For example, we need to make a whole lecture about that, but you can heal yourself with those names, yeah? If you imagine the name, for example, Yud, Lamed, and Yud, right? And you try to see it in front of you, and then you take a breath, and you imagine that you take those letters into yourself, and then you imagine it in the place that you have the pain. So for example, in your head or in the leg, and when you're taking a breath, you have to practice it. But this is one of the ways, it's called Kabbalistic healing, that you can use those names, because this name is a name that it heals. There's a name that is good to protect you from evil eye. Hey, Aleph, Aleph, right? That's the name. And you have, so for example, if someone makes an evil eye on you at that time, if you're going to have in mind, Hey, Aleph, Aleph, it's going to block it. It's going to cancel it. No Ain Hara, no evil eye, right? And there's a name that it can, for example, someone that doesn't have luck, an unlucky person, and he's like, oh, nothing is going in my life, everything is, yeah, and he wants to bring his luck back, like he wants a good luck, so he can make meditation on Hey Kuf Mem. It's one of the names of Hashem, Hey Kuf Mem, that it brings your luck up, right? So before you go to interview or whatever, so have it in mind, right? There's different things. I'm not going to go into how to use those names actually, but those the 72 names of God. Now those names are hidden in tehilim in different chapters, because those chapters are helping certain issues. So just for example, we have Mismo tehilim that we read on Shabbat, that finish with the word, it's called Hashem Malach Geut Lavesh. Yeah, that's how this I don't remember what number is that chapter, but 92.
Yeah.
You sure? 92. Okay. Yeah, you always know better than me. So it starts Adonai Malach Geut Lavesh Adonai Oz Itazar Aftikon Peve Baltimot, and it's finished with the word Adonai Leorech Yamim. So Hashem Leorech Yamim, the name of Hashem starts with Yud, Leorech starts with Lamed, Yamim starts with Yud. So now you have a combination of the name of health, Yud, Lamed, and Yud, right? So that chapter is very good for healing. Has this name hidden inside, right? So, and whole tehilim is built like this. I have a whole book that tells you every chapter, all the names, and that comes from the beginning of every word or the end of every word. There's different combinations. It's people that like mathematics. It's something unbelievable. So there's a lot of power in every chapter of tehilim. The first chapter of tehilim, let's speak about this one. First of all, people that want to know more Torah, be more wise in Torah learning, and it's very good to read this chapter, first chapter, and you can see it also clearly. It's talking about Torah. Ki im betorat Adonai chefzo betorato yegei yomam v'layla. Right? It's talking about Torah. Ashrei ish asher lo halach be'atzat reshaim. David HaMelech says, those people that they don't go with in the bad direction of those people that doesn't fulfill the Torah. Ashri Aish, kol hakavod. Like I'm praising those people that not going in the bad way, they're going in the Torah way. So that's how this Psalm of David starts. So this is very good to read for people that feel, okay, I want to know more Torah, I want to be more wise in Torah. This is one of the things that can help. Rabbi Chaim Vital, the students of Arizal, says that a lady that she's pregnant, and sometimes certain ladies, they have, unfortunately, how you call it? Miscarriages, yeah. Yeah, so one of the things she can do to avoid miscarriage, if she had it one time or a few times, chas v'shalom, one of the things she can do is to write the pasuk, the third sentence of the first chapter of tehilim. Okay? It starts with the word והיה כעת שתול על פלגי מים אשר פריו ייתן בעיתו ועלהו לא ייבול וכל אשר יעשה להצליח. So if she will write it, yeah, or someone will write for her on a cloth, yeah, like a mezuzah or something like that, will write this pasuk on that, and then she gonna make a necklace from it, and she put it beside her heart, all time of pregnancy, she's not gonna have a miscarriage. So you see, one pasuk of tehilim has such a... Now, why do we write it? Because writing it is like saying it all the time. The power of writing something on, and especially when you write it on a leather, on those pieces of leather that we write mezuzot and Torah, it has, when you write it, it's like you say it all the time. And because we can't say it so many times, writing it makes it work so good, right? So this is one of the things that you can do with the first chapter of tehilim. Another thing is, okay, that's something that is very complicated. I'm not going to go into it. The second chapter of tehilim, Perek Bet, which starts with Lama Ragshu Goim. Yeah, that's the first pasuk. So he says that if someone has a person that hates him, yeah, someone that doesn't like you and it does like bad things to you, trying to ruin your life, yeah, an enemy, and you want him to stop, you want him to like leave you alone. So you can say 3 times this chapter, the second chapter of Tehilim, 3 times, and have in mind that he will stop bothering you, and especially when you say it in front of him, like when he is present. Yeah, so say just give me a moment, I need to say something, and then do the second chapter of Tehillim 3 times, one after the other, and Be'ezrat Hashem, will help. Yeah. There's another thing to do. If you have enemies, also, let's say you go to a war, army, whatever, or you have a certain enemy at your job, when you work, and you're afraid of him, and you want to win him, or let's say you go to a court, and you have an enemy that sue you, whatever, and you want to win him, say 4 times at the court or that place, this chapter of Tehillim, the second chapter of Tehillim, 4 times, and will help you to win your enemy. B'ezrat Hashem. That's another thing. No, you don't have to say it in front of him. By the way, Tehillim, you have to say it. It doesn't have to be like loud. You can whisper it, but the lips has to move. That's very important, so the power get out. Yeah, it's better to hear yourself, but even if you don't hear yourself, that's fine. Okay, let's go. Let's say something about the third chapter of Tehillim. The third chapter of Tehillim, it's for someone that has pain in his shoulder, or he has a headache, yeah, and he doesn't want to take pills because the pills are not good for the health, and he wants to heal it. from the source, right? Because spiritual healing is healing from the source. The conventional healing is just, just the symptom. It's shut this off, numbs it. But if you want to really heal, is go to the source, right? So the third chapter of Tehilim, which starts with Mismo LeDavid beborcho mipnei Shalom bno. That's the when he ran away from his son. Yeah, he had a lot of headaches, I guess. Huh? Why? What's the connection? We don't have time to go into it. Some of them we even don't know the connection because it's big Kabbalists wrote those things. Some of that we do know the connections. I have more information about that, but that's not we don't have time for that. So if someone has problems with his shoulder pain or headache, he can say this Mismo, this chapter, third chapter, but he has to say it on olive oil. Like take a cup of olive oil, and it's better to have like a real olive oil, and say that like in front of it. And I would say even say it 3 times or even more. The more times you say it's more powerful. And it's good also to put inside the oil salt. So put salt inside the oil and say this chapter, the third chapter, even a few times on that, and have in mind then to heal that place, whatever headache or and then take this oil and put it in that place. So let's say if it's in the shoulder, so you put it on the shoulder. And if it's in the head, so you put it in different places in the head, and you do it even once or 2 or twice or 3 times a day, and that's spiritually will heal you. You can use it. And if you remember, we made a whole class about olive oil, if you remember, and we said there that olive oil, it's one of the things that takes energy, that absorbs energy. That's why it's going to work better if you do it with olive oil than you do it with canola oil, for example, or other things, water. It's olive oil and salt. Also, salt takes judgments out. Salt has, we also made a class on salt, right?
Yeah.
Oh Hashem. Olive oil with it, salt with it. We're going to do on sugar, baby, also. And so this is, those items are items that salt takes judgments out, and olive oil absorbs energy. So the words that you say will be absorbed in the olive oil, and the salt will take the judgments, the negativity out. So that's why it helps when you say the third chapter, which has a certain specialty. That works for that. So, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to have a little bit of time for questions and answers. But before that, I want to bless all of you. Be'ezrat Hashem, Hashem will give you a lot of success, a lot of nachat. I'm sure that after this class, people that didn't read Tehilim will start to read Tehilim. Those who read Tehilim will read Tehilim with more intention. And Be'ezrat Hashem, Yeh Ratzon, that with the reading of our Tehilim, Kadosh Baruch Hu will give us all our wishes. It will fulfill our wishes. Whatever we need, Hashem will give us. And the soul of David HaMelech, we pray on us, because we say his words, and he enjoy in Shemaim, in heaven, because we say his words. So he's praying for us as well. So you get David HaMelech pray on you when you say Tehilim. That's a very big thing. Hashem will give you a lot of nachat and atzlacha. Amen v'amen.
Amen.
Questions? Yes.
This Tehilim number 119. It has each paragraph has Aleph.
Right.
Beth, Aleph.
Right.
So normally people go, when they go to the grave, they see the name of the person and then they select the words from there.
Right.
Is it the correct way to Rabbi?
What is that?
When you go to the grave.
No, I know. I got that. I didn't get the last.
Suppose somebody say Abraham.
Yeah.
You take Aleph, then Beth,
Yeah.
then Resh.
Yeah. So
Read those things.
your question is about chapter 119, which is the longest chapter in Tehilim, right? Someone told me that if you have a tea, and the tea is too hot, and you want it to get cold, so read the 119 chapter in Tehilim, and it will get cold. That's another thing you can use for. No, that's a joke. Okay. But 119 has all the Aleph Bet inside. So 119, it's a very long chapter. That's the longest chapter because it's divided to small 22 chapters.
Right.
Because we have 22 letters. So first letter starts with Aleph Bet. So what we do, we use it for different things. For example, like you said, when a person passed away and you want to elevate his soul, especially when you go to the grave, so you take his name and you read those chapters according to his name. So if his name is Avraham, you read 1, A Aleph, and then Bet, and then Hey, and then Reish, Hey, and Mem. And some people, they even add the name of his mother. Yeah, and her mother Chana, so you Chet, Nun, and Hey. So you read that. And that's a very good thing. That's a good custom to do. We also use it for other things. For example, if a person wants to have peace at home, yeah, let's say every day he fights with his wife, yeah, every day someone else is going out of the window, yeah. So what you do? How can you bring peace? Of course, you have to work on yourself, work on your character, go study Torah, and go get an advice from a rabbi or from a counselor. Yeah, that's first thing. But also you can add to this, which can help you spiritually to have a good mood and a peace at home, to read the letters of Shalom Bait in the 119. So you read the Sheen part in the chapter 119, and then Lamed, and then Vav, and then Mem, and then Bet, and Yud, and Taf. Reading it once a day will bring peace at home, Be'ezat Hashem. And I told it to a few people, and they told me good results, Baruch Hashem.
What's
Yes.
the most powerful spiritually powerful chapter in tehilim?
I can't say such a thing.
All of them.
All of them, each one has a different thing. We can't say something that is more powerful than others. Yeah.
There are 10 Psalms according to Rabbi Israel that he said that you say those 10 Psalms. there's,
Right.
16 to 32.
Right. Very powerful.
Is that something that-
Yeah. What you asking, your question is about Tikkun HaKlali. Rabbi Nachman from Breslev, he said that there's 10 chapters of tehilim that from heaven they told him, that those chapters are the main chapters for the most important fixing that we have to do in life, most important goal that we have in life, or actually it's cleaning the biggest problem, it's called Tikkun HaBrit, it's the Brit, I don't know how to explain it now, the covenant, the covenant that we have with God. Sometimes we break that covenant, and every person broke that covenant. And to fix that, he said that he got from heaven in our generation 200 years ago already, that those 10 chapters of Tehillim can clean, repair it, and that's why it's very important for every person to do. Especially people that did a lot of sins with men with other girls that is not allowed to be with, or not right not marriage. Bekitzu, you understood what I'm going to say. So those people, they need to do Tikkun HaKlali more, and I think every person needs to do Tikkun HaKlali because it's repairing our brain. The brain is damaged today, especially because of all what we see all the time. We see things that are not good, and our conscious and subconscious, especially subconscious, is ruined totally. So Rabbi Nachman says that from heaven they told him the way to repair it is to read the 10 Psalms of Tikkun HaKlali. And I think every person should do it as much as you can. If you can do it every day, do it every day. Man and a woman. Very important. Very powerful. And this is, some people say it's considered like reading the whole Tehillim. Because that's the main one. But I don't want to say that. I'm not sure about that. But this is very powerful. Yeah.
What are the 10 chapters?
The 10 chapters. I don't remember them by heart. It's 33, 32, 60. Okay, tell their after, Bezat Hashem.
Can we read Tehillim in English?
What?
We can read in English.
Of course.
You can read in English. So באמת, the best results of tehilim is reading it in Hebrew, not in English. So I'll tell you now, I have it written here, by the way. I'm going to say the Tikkun HaKlali. Today there's a lot of books that they have it already combined together. Tikkun HaKlali, it's called Tikkun HaKlali, but I'm going to tell you. It's number... No, so you have like this. You have number 17. No, sorry. 16, I was mistaken. 16, 32, 41, 42. Then you have 59, 77, 90, and 105, right? And then we have 137 and 150. Yeah, when I read them from the booklet. So, but you have booklets like that. But if you don't have, you can find it like we said right now. Another question, yeah.
Can read that book. Plus, can we add some of what we like? Some of the songs we just like it, and we feel it is relating to your problems, and we can add while reading.
After reading Tikkun HaKlali, so read other chapters.
Those 10
Yeah. No, those 10 has to come together.
together.
Yeah. After that, you can add your own things. Yes.
Is the power in saying the words or reading the words? Like if I read transliterary.
So I didn't finish that. Right. So the best results of tehilim is saying tehilim in Hebrew. So saying that, I said we don't have to understand what we're saying. So saying it in Hebrew. So that's why it's better to have instead of having a translation, to have transliteration. Yeah, there's a lot of books like that today in Russian and in English that they tell you it's in English words, in English letters, but it tells you how to pronounce the word in Hebrew. That's the best way to read Tehillim for those who doesn't know how to read Hebrew. But again, if you don't have this one, so of course it's better to read Tehillim with translation. It also works a bit, especially because you understand what it says. I would suggest, if you have certain Tehillim that you read all the time, first of all, read the translation, understand what you're saying, and then read the transliteration, so therefore you read it in Hebrew and you really understand the big picture of what it's talking about.
But if you read in Hebrew and you don't really understand and you're saying it's better to pronounce the word, so is it not doing any harm if you pronounce the word wrong?
Right. So Rabbi Nachman says if you pronounce the word wrong because of a mistake, it's okay. I mean, Hashem is not picky. We understand that you do your best, and it says in Shir Hashirim, "Diglo alay ahava, al tikre diglo ela dilugo." That even if you skip a word, not by purpose, just you skip a word, so it's still considered the Tehillim still works. Yeah.
Do the Psalms have to be read in sequence? Sometimes you're reading Psalms. I was told that you should never go back and forth.
You can't read
Once you started.
No, there's no problem to do so.
There's no problem.
There's no problem to do so.
The views are-
No, there's no problem to do. There's no problem. The question was to if you read, for example, 60, can you read then after that 40 to go back? There's no problem to do so. Yes.
Is there a time of day that it's best to read it?
Yeah. So Bemet, we need to do another 5 lessons about Tehillim because there's so many things into it. But according to your question, if there's a time of day, it's better to read Tehillim during the day.
Daylight.
It's not. It's better light. Yeah. After sunset is called night. It's better to not read it after that. But if you don't have something better to do, like if you're not gonna read Tehillim at night, you're gonna look TV, watch TV. So it's better you read Tehillim at night. Or if someone is sick and he needs help, so it's better you read Tehillim at night. But lechatchila, from the beginning, we would read it during the day. The most powerful time, I'll tell you the secret, the most powerful time from Tehillim, it's from midnight until sunrise. And right before sunrise, that is, some people say it's the most powerful. Much before sunrise. So if you look sunrise at your location where you are, like now it's like 6:30, something like that. So no, not sunrise, the dawn. Sorry, not sunrise, dawn. Before dawn. So sunrise now is like 7:30. So here. So if you read it before the dawn, mamash, this is very, very, very powerful.
Is it
important to read them before and after, the Lechuna and Ana, and to finish?
You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to read the prayers before and after. That's an ad. If you have time, do it. But you don't have to. You just can open tehilim and start to do that. Yes. Yeah.
Suppose you're not very good in Hebrew. Can we have a recorded tehilim going on and we open up your book and you follow it?
You ask if you can hear
Yeah.
audio of
Yes,
tehilim.
recorded.
So if you just hear it, it's not really helping. It's maybe helping your subconscious mind a little bit because you get some good words into it, and it will give you a better feeling in life because it's holy words that got into your subconscious mind, which is very, very good. But it's not gonna make it. It's not reading tehilim. It's not considered as reading tehilim. What you can do is listening to it and reading while it's playing, and then it's good because you saying it from you're taking it out of your mouth. Yeah, so that's fine. Okay. Yeah.
This question combined for 2 lessons today, and the last one about the names.
Okay.
Because last class about the names, you said it's not good to call someone by the name of the person who suffered a lot in their life. But let's say David, such a righteous person, and he suffered, like you said, more
Right,
than anyone
right,
else.
right.
So how's that?
Yeah. So David suffered, but David suffered, and he knew how to handle it. David suffered, but he was happy. He was really happy, so he could handle it. There's a big power to that name. That's why you can call it that name.
So it's okay to
Yeah,
call
that's okay to call David. It's a good name. Yes, Yafa. You can read it in English. You can read it in English, but it's better to read it in Hebrew or transliteration, to say the words in Hebrew. That's more powerful, because that's the original thing. Yeah. So you can find a book like that. Bezat Hashem. Maybe we can guide you somehow. I wish you all the best. Bracha v'atzlacha to everyone.
Amen.